Hello and welcome to beautiful Singapore and to the Super League Triathlon Grand Final taking place in lovely Sentosa Cove. I say lovely because I don't have to race, I can tell you it is hot and humid. We just had the Women's Eliminator. You can catch up on that on superleaguetriathlon.com if you did indeed miss it, but it was a fantastic race. Australian Ashley Gentle, a gutsy run to third behind Cassandra Grosjean of France. But no one could stop Katie Zafiris, our championship leader, unfortunately, for my guest who I'll introduce in just a second. My name is Will McCloy, and I think the name on everyone's lips, though, is another Frenchman, Vincent Lewis.
Here we go! There are great seasons, and then there are perfect ones. Vincent Lewis, former junior world champ, two-time Olympian, world number 2, sprint king, and in Super League, 3 rounds, 3 wins. Consistent, quick, and virtually unbeatable over the last 400 metres.
I said in Jersey that when I can see the finish line, it's over for the opponent, and I'm not a liar.
Confident, and why not? Unstoppable so far, and 1 weekend away from the title of Super League champion.
He is the man they are all looking to beat, but he has never won this format. The only format, in fact, that Vincent Lewis hasn't won is the Eliminator, and the man who has won both times we've had the Eliminator is Richard Murray, who is lurking and looking for a podium spot. Alongside me right now, Chris McCormack and Rachel Clammer, the better half of Richard Murray. So before we get to talking about Rich, first of all, you just raced a great and gutsy 5th position. How did it feel out there? It looked tough.
Well, if I say hot, then everyone will be like that. It was very hot, especially the first round. It was even mentally tough because the only thing I could think of is, oh, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. But I thought, okay, everyone else is feeling the same, and we have to do it twice more. Twice
more, and then tomorrow you have to do it 3 times in a row.
Yeah, maybe it's better because you don't get that moment to stop and think about the next round, so you just have to keep going. It's like once off.
That is incredibly optimistic from you. I don't know about that. You had breaks today, not tomorrow. I don't see how that's better. Macca, let's talk about Vince Lewis.
Yes.
He's been a revelation. He wasn't in the 2017 rounds. He came in, won with a bang in Jersey, and he just kept it rolling.
He's been unstoppable. He roared out of the blocks in Jersey. He was remarkable. We saw him take everyone apart in Malta, and his Mallorca performance was one of the best racing I've seen. He seems in very, very good condition. I spoke to him yesterday before today's race. He's primed and ready. He wants to remain undefeated throughout this series. As you said, Richard Murray, the only athlete to ever win the Eliminator, and Vincent Lewis has never won one. So I'd like to see an upsetting of the apple cart going into tomorrow's Enduro race, but it looks very, very difficult. This course suits him a lot.
It takes a very special man to pull off an owl back tattoo, but he's got one of them, Vincent Lewis. I don't think Rich has got no tattoos, does he?
Not that I know.
I'm sure if anyone's going to know, you're going to know. Let's talk about Rich. He's had a little bit of trouble with his ankle, so he hasn't run as much as before, but he's ran his way to 2 Eliminator victories over the last 2 years, so he'd still be rather confident, is he?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I try not to talk about it too much. I like to talk a lot about things before the race. He doesn't, but I know he's not 100% sure about what's going to happen today.
All right, thank you so much for your time. I know you've just been warming down, so we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Go and warm down, get ready for tomorrow.
Thank you very much, will do.
All right, it's all about the Eliminator in the men's. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic race. The championship points as they stand. As I said, perfect 3 rounds for Vincent Lewis, 75 of 75, but we have double points on offer here in Singapore, 50 points, and he's only 12 ahead of Henry Skooma and then Richard Murray, the 2 South Africans chasing Vincent Lewis home, and here is how it will all work out. If Lewis wins the weekend or comes second, he's the champion. If he finishes 3rd or below and Skooma wins the weekend, which he is more than capable of, Skooma will take the $100,000 and title of Super League Triathlon champion, and Richard Murray and Jonny Brownlee can also mathematically win the title if results fall their way. So it's a little complicated. All the details are on superleaguetriathlon.com, but that's how it works. Skooma finishes 1st, Vincent Lewis finishes 3rd. The title goes to South Africa. Obviously, next to me, Rachel's hoping that Richard Murray can do it, but his ankle is a little bit sore. We'll see how it works out. Right now, let's have a look at how the Eliminator shakes out.
The Eliminator, the most ruthless triathlon format ever devised. A three-stage tactical nightmare rewarding fierce racing and strategic brilliance. Pace your efforts, conserve energy, and avoid elimination. No room for positioning error. No room for weaknesses. No room for anything. Stage 1, mass start. Swim, bike, run. Easy. A win here, though, won't help you. But finish outside the top 15, that's your day over. For the rest, there is no rest. A 10-minute break and we go again. Mass start, swim, bike, run. Finish top 10 and progress. The other 5 join their fallen rivals on the sideline. 10 minutes, recover, reset. It's time to go into battle for the last time. How much have you got left? Because someone will cross the line a winner. The Eliminator, it's time. What a test the Eliminator is, and here it is at a glance. 3 stages, all mass starts. Swim, bike, run, and the first 15 go through. That means 8 go home after the first stage. A 10-minute break and we go again. Swim, bike, run, and then the top 10 head through to stage 3. So it's just about qualifying through the first 2 stages and all on the line in the final stage.
Well, things are getting pretty serious down here. The athletes are warming up and there's a feeling of intensity as the athletes prepare for the start of this race. Alongside me, Richard Murray. Richard, you know a thing or two about the Eliminator. You've won all of them, haven't you? So what does it feel to be racing here today?
Yeah, it feels very similar to the first race in Hamilton Island. Conditions are very similar. A lot of yachts in the background. Quite a spectacular place and great to be here and looking forward to it.
Okay, we know your swim slightly lets you down, but you will have been working that over the winter months. How confident are you can stay on with the likes of Scoumont and Vincent Lewis?
I can probably stay on as best I can. Wish I came from a swimming background, but yeah, definitely been working on it quite hard with my coach Jordi and Louis, and yeah, they've been doing a pretty good job in the off season, and looking forward to my first race of the season.
And look, we know you love this style of racing, but you have been carrying a bit of a foot injury. You're not going to really know until you start racing if it's going to hamper you.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. I mean, I knew coming here already whether I should come or not, so that was already a bit of a difficult call to make. So yeah, I decided to come here, and I had to start out the first race of the season due to gastro as well. So this is my official first race of the year, and coming in with a bit of ankle injury is not perfect, but I'm going to have to see how it holds up, and hopefully I can put out 1 or 2 runs at least, this weekend.
And looking at your other rivals, the other guys up there that we're looking at as favourites to take the overall podium, Vincent Lewis, incredibly strong as well. But we haven't seen him yet race this year. In fact, we haven't seen him since Mallorca. So do you know anything about his form?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't come to a race underprepared, so he's definitely going to be one to beat today. But I wouldn't put it out for Henry Schumann either. He comes from this type of climate. He grew up in this climate, so it's going to be a tough one between the two of them, I reckon, this weekend.
And Jonny Brownlee as well. He's been doing some secret training in Yorkshire, which some people have a bit confused about, but he's set up a chamber in his house to stay really warm and train in the heat to acclimatise himself. So he's looking pretty strong too.
Yeah. I mean, he spent some time in Thailand as well recently, so he's definitely, prioritising the heat training, and this is definitely like a test event come Tokyo as well for the heat.
Lovely. Go and get started, Richard, and good luck.
Cheers, thanks.
Well, I think that if the race is as intense as the heat here in Singapore, we are set for a very exciting afternoon's racing.
Beautiful shots over Sentosa Cove here in Singapore. It's started to drop in temperature just a little bit as the men get ready to take on the Eliminator. We just heard from Richard Murray a little while ago. He's very relaxed despite carrying an injury. Dorian Conix is a new name, another Frenchman. Jonathan Brownlee we know very well. Matt Hauser is back, as is Ryan Bailey, the 2 Australians. He's in number 39. Look out for Ben Canute too from Bahrain Endurance. He is so strong. Tommy Zafiris, fantastic. The husband of Katie, such a good swimmer, Olympic trialist, Oscar Coggins, and Jumpy Furuya too from Japan. But it is packed full of talent, this men's lineup for the Eliminator here at the grand final. A straight swim out 140, 2 turns and back in, and the bike and the run are on the same course. The key element there is the chicane at the bottom of your screens just outside the W Hotel. There's a few changes of surface as well to contend with. 5 laps on the bike, 2 laps on the run. And the Eliminator runs very much like this. Finish outside the top 15, you're gone in the first stage. Finish outside the top 10 in the second stage, you're gone. Top 10 go through, and expect to see these guys. The fastest splits from Mallorca, Henry Schumann in the swim, Richard Murray on the bike, Jonathan Brownlee on the run. And overall in the pink, Vincent Lewis. All those guys very much in contention for podium spots at the end of this weekend and a share of $1.5 million US. Let's get things underway in the men's Eliminator, and here we go. A clean start and a good one from, I think, Matt Hauser, is it, in the white on the left, and he's almost going to swim into the end of the corner of the pontoon there.
That's Tommy Safari's right next to him, leading out on that left side of screen. And you see Jonathan Brownlee in the red jersey a lot further back on the right of screen. He got a terrible start. He was pummeled just off the dive. It's Richard Murray, not renowned for swimming the green bike rider's jersey. And right behind him, Ryan Bailey, who we haven't seen in Super League racing since Jersey last year. Had a few injuries. It's great to see Ryan back.
It certainly is, and there's talent across the breadth of this field, there's no doubt. Henry Schoeman, he is in the blue with the fastest swim. He finished 4th in Cape Town. He was disappointed with that a couple of weeks ago.
Polyansky in the centre of screen, a magnificent swimmer. He's been actually training with Richard Murray in South Africa, so he's made a change to his training regime. He realised after the last 2 rounds of Super League he had to do something, especially with the Olympics coming. And you can see Vincent Lewis a fair way back. A long way back. This is the furthest back I've seen him at the start of a swim. He started in the centre, he got allocated a centre position, and he's a lot further back.
Again, though, as we just have a look at the water temperature, remains at 29 degrees. It's like a bath in there. The air temperature 31, so certainly...
I don't believe that humidity.
No, neither do I. I think it means 160%.
Yeah. If that's only 60%,
100% the air would be made of water.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
That seems to be the way it is. So all 191 centimetres of Igor Polyansky, the very experienced 29-year-old Russian, leads around Matt Hauser, who's coming back from hitting a car door last year in May on a training ride on the Gold Coast. Had a full shoulder reconstruction, but it doesn't seem to be hampering him early on in the swim. At the back of the field is Nathan Killam. You can see that moustache bobbing in and out of the water. He is very excited to be here. Absolutely, Nathan Killam, and a great addition. Has been racing Ironman races actually in 2018, so difficult to change to this kind of short, sharp racing.
Yeah, this is a little bit different.
Yeah,
a little bit different. But Igor Polyansky's really, we saw this in Mallorca in the last round. He's in the first race. He starts very, very well. He's got such a good natural speed off the start, and Henry Schoeman seems to build into it. We saw, what is that back there? That's Matt Hauser. Jeez, he always swims well, Matt Hauser. I thought that was Andreas Schilling, that if it is, he's swimming well out of his skin. He's right up near the front. Remember, stage 1, it's about staying in that top 15 to move through to stage 2 and staying in a position where you don't get brought down in crashes on the bike. You stay out of trouble, and being right where Matt Hauser is right now is the place to be.
Absolutely right. Matt Hauser just behind, or on the hip nearly, of Henry Schoeman, who is swimming on the feet of Igor Polyansky. And Schoeman really doesn't have a weakness, if you like. He's worked a lot on his bike. If we had to pick one out, it'd be the bike in terms of technicality, but this is a very technical course, and he's a small frame. At the back there, Oscar Coggins and Mark Yu as well from Hong Kong. The pair of them. Oscar Coggins only 19 years of age. Junior Asian champion he is last year. And he surrendered his British passport to represent Hong Kong at Tokyo, but Hauser and Schoeman trail Polyansky, Zefiris, Vincent Lewis and Dorian Connix. Ben Canute there, Jonas Schomburg, who probably didn't have the swim he would have liked, Matt Sharp, Ryan Bailey, and there's Richard Murray in the green. And also back there was Hayden Wild, who sits currently in the top 6, and he wouldn't have been too happy with that, but a great return to Super League racing for Matt Hauser, and leading out of transition and through a bit of traffic is Igor Polyansky. Good transition also for Vincent Lewis.
Ben Canute, very slick, and there's Richard Murray.
He'll need a very, very good transition. And out he goes. That was quick. But Matt Hauser leads from Polyansky, Schoeman, Vincent Lewis, Zefiris, Canute, Dorian Connix, and Tyler Mislachuk, who we haven't mentioned, but is always there or thereabouts, from Hayden Wild, who had a great transition ahead of Jonny Brownlee, Jonas Schomburg, and Leo Bergier. That's your top 12. But outside the top 15 as it stands, Oscar Coggins, Mark Yu, Andreas Schilling.
2 Schofield twins, Nathan Killam.
Yep.
Nathan wanted to stay. It's probably the closest he's been. He's not renowned for his swimming. He loved this bike course. As an Ironman athlete, he can tear apart a bike course, but he's just never been able to put himself in position in a draft legal event. Here's a chicane, and the men are hitting it with a lot more risk than we saw in the women's race. Geez, that's tight.
It is very, very tight. leaving no space unwritten on, if that is a phrase, and Ollie Turner at the back of the pack.
He'd be happy to have Ryan Bailey in the front there. Ryan will chase. He's renowned for his bike skills. He sees himself as a bit of a bike rider. He'll close that gap. And again, we're looking for the ones at the back because they're the ones in danger of being eliminated in this race, in this stage. It's about nursing yourself through this event, but making sure you're not one of the ones that put yourself in difficulty if anything was to go wrong, a collision, a crash, and suddenly we saw that in the women's race with Daniela Di Francesco from first to being eliminated.
Coggins, Bailey and Turner all in trouble. There is Schilling ahead of both Jaden and Luke Schofield, and Nathan Killam is at the back and working as hard as he possibly can.
Matt Hauser's back. He really shone last year in Jersey, and it was a tragedy that he got hit by a car just after his Commonwealth Games gold win on the Gold Coast last year. He was really primed to do really big things within the series. He made a statement finishing last year's race in Jersey right in the mix, and it's good to see him back in the racing, right at the front.
So on the bubble, Richard Murray and Jumpy Furuya, the Japanese star. Oscar Coggins in 16th will need to come up a place, as will Ryan Bailey and Ollie Turner. Andreas Schilling, Mark Yu, Luke Schofield in 21st and Jaden in 22nd, both 17 seconds back. It'd be really handy if they could actually not do everything exactly the same, but there you go.
There's a pile up at the back there.
A pile up?
Yeah, there's a crash at the back. I just saw a whole group go down. It looked like the two Schofield brothers.
We'll try and get a replay of that one as Ryan Bailey comes in super fast, followed by Ollie Turner, and that is Luke Schofield, who has got some problems with his bike. He's been tangled up, and he is unhappy. Back on the bike, though, ahead of him is his brother, and I think with him was that Matt Sharp? We'll have to get an update on that.
It looked like, no, there's Matt Sharp at the back. It wasn't Matt. I can see him just behind Jonathan Brownlee.
Saw a Canadian flag there, I thought.
Hope that wasn't Tyler Mishler.
Maybe it was Nathan Killam.
Ah, yes. No, there's Tyler, he's safe. There's Matt Sharp.
Murray in 14th, Coggins in 15th, Bailey in 16th. There is your bubble riders at the moment. Mark Yu there, Andreas Schilling, and there's plenty of work to be done by our back markers, there's no doubt about that.
Isn't it uncanny how Vincent Lewis just slowly slides his way up out of difficulty? We've just had a crash. He's now thought to himself, look, I'm sitting a little bit farther back. I don't need to take any chances. He's now sitting second wheel on Tommy Zafaris' wheel, which is the best place to be. And now he's on the front.
Yeah, it didn't take long. Vincent Lewis, Matt Hauser, the Frenchman in the Australian lead. Ben Knut's moved his way up into 4th position. Plenty of talent across our top 10. Vince just knows how to put down power out of these corners and need to do that on repeat as they come around turn 3. Another sweeping right-hander. The next turn they face will be the Singapore chicane. Ryan Bailey and Ollie Turner looking to stay in touch with that pack. Vince goes back to 4th position, just comes off the gas a little bit and lets Hauser go back to the front ahead of 2 Americans in Zafiris and Knut.
It's tight through there. Really
very tight.
As it starts to heat up in these later stages, there's going to be a lot of risk taking through there, so it could get quite dangerous. If you watch the way Vincent Lewis sits on his bike, he sits very, very high. He looks like a cross bike rider if you watch him, but he seems to take so many chances. We saw him in Jersey railing those corners, and geez, he's drifted a fair way back in one lap. Has he had a problem?
Well, this did happen to him at the bottom of the hill in Malta, and he's gone from 1st position, Vincent Lewis, all the way down. So is he having trouble with his gearing? I'm not sure what's happened.
Something's
Heaven forbid it's not a flat, because that'll throw things wide open, because Henry Schumann is sitting there. Something's happening to Vincent Lewis. So his partner, Taylor Spivey, came off on the bike early on in stage 1 in the women's race, and now in the men's race, Vincent Lewis, our championship leader, has dropped right down the order.
This is danger. Does he ride this flat tyre and run himself in? Does he ride the... I think he has a lap to go.
He's looking around. He's looking at options. He's going to stop. Is he? No. He's talking.
He's got a flat. It's definitely a flat tyre. He's going to ride a flat.
Flat at the back. He's just going to keep going. Is that the first flat tyre we've had in Super League Triathlon, and it happens to our championship leader in the grand final?
That is unbelievable. This throws things right up. Henry Schumann right now must be frothing.
He's 12 points back, Henry Schumann. You get 25 points, round points, for today, 25 for tomorrow, and then your total of those round points will lead into championship points worth 50 total. And at some point, Henry Schoeman is going to see that his main championship rival has got a flat tyre, and it'll come at the end of the run when he comes around in transition for the last time and doesn't see the pink jersey.
We've got to do a number count here. Let's see how far back Vincent Lewis is. We know he's a remarkable runner. He needs to stay calm.
He's got to be out.
He has to commit to this
Here
run.
he is.
Here he is.
He's having all sorts of trouble.
It happened before that last turn. I was going to say on the last lap, I saw him unclip before the turn. It was as if he was putting his foot down because it was tight through the chicane, but it's obviously been a flat tyre.
So Ben Canute leads from Matt Hauser. If you count that fast, because I certainly
11,
can't. There's got to be at least
14,
15.
15 is shilling right there on screen.
How did you do that? You're just saying that with absolute
16,
clarity.
17. He knows it. I'll tell you what, this will be a magnificent
What a run it's going to be.
He's going to run himself through here.
I think he can do it. I think he can do it.
If anyone can, it's him, but there is so much on the line. So much
behind him, doing all the work he can.
You've got another lap to get through. I thought that was the last lap.
Well, that's going to hurt too, so...
I don't think Schoeman knows yet, because if he
I don't
did,
think so.
you would do everything you possibly could to make sure this group got further and further away and made things very, very difficult for Vincent Lewis.
They're not sitting up, though. Ben Canute, he only knows one way to ride. Matt House is enjoying his time back, no doubt. Tommy Zafiris is having a great run too.
11,
You can hear him.
14, 15 is Tyler. So, sorry, that's 17th position. So I got it wrong the last count.
Right, well, you counted out loud this time like you were 6 years old.
Well, I do that to my son every
that's
day,
nice.
just to prove that I know how to count.
You know we're in commentary, but that's fine. So Hauser from Tommy Zafiris now. Canute third, Schoeman fourth. Still doesn't know, you think. Leo Berger in fifth from Dorian Connick, two Frenchmen in the top five, but the one we're all looking at is not there in Vincent Lewis, and there is Luke Schofield, who has eventually succumbed after that. After that race, and we've just heard that the twins, Luke and Jaden Schofield, in fact crashed into each other.
That'll be an interesting discussion at home tonight. Who brought who down?
Here's Vince Lewis. He's still riding, but he's just dropping further and further behind. And I'm not sure that even Vincent Lewis can run it back from there. He only has 2 laps to do so.
I'm looking at these, I don't think so.
And that is going to throw it wide open.
Wow.
So let's recap. Double points on offer across this weekend. That means 50 championship points. And Vincent Lewis is 12 points ahead of Henry Schoeman. He could drop even further down the order. It's possible that Richard Murray or Jonny Brownlee could take second position. Hayden Wild goes in. Further down here in transition is Matt Hauser. Alongside him, Tommy Zafiris. Those two have been glued to each other the whole time.
Hayden Wild first out, Ben Canute, Henry Schoeman. It all depends on how much these guys commit now. Whether they start counting heads and cruise the run, thinking we're all safe, which allows Vincent Lewis to commit to a huge run and run some time into them.
Surely not. It'll be one of the great runs in triathlon history.
There's no urgency. There's no urgency to this group. They're counting heads. It is lucky that it's happened now. It'll be a monumental effort. Monumental.
So Hayden Wild, Canute, Hauser. Here we go. Vincent Lewis comes in finally after a flat halfway through the bike leg, and he knows he's going to have to run his way into 15th position or better.
This will be a huge... It's got to be 30 seconds. It has to be close to 30 seconds, which is... It's near impossible, but if anybody can do it, Vincent Lewis can. He has been the biggest runner in the field and over the series. He's a remarkable talent. He's got more to lose than anyone else on screen here, and this is the time where you do pray. There's Tommy Zafiris. I'm doing the numbers.
I think there's our 15 with Oscar Coggins at the back with Tyler Mislachuk.
That's the group. He needs to get to that group. He needs to get on.
Murray, I think, is in 11th position. Zafiris in 12th.
14,
Bailey, Mislachuk, and Coggins, which puts Silling in 16th position.
And we're looking for Vincent Lewis now. Lewis.
There's Mark Yu. There is plenty of looking back and forth. All right, at the front is Wild.
He looks very comfortable, Hayden Wild.
He does indeed. He is the New Zealand mixed team relay champ after a great race last weekend. So great that they had to go back and check his times to make sure he wasn't cheating. They thought he was so fast, but of course he was not cheating.
Here it is now. Oh,
yep.
There it is there. Geez, he kept that upright.
Yeah, he slipped out at the back, and you can see already the wheel, the tyre is done. And he's looking back thinking that could be it. And there is Vincent's partner Taylor, who herself had a very tough race but managed to make it through into the top 10 after an accident on the bike. So
there's no urgency in this group up front, and that's a positive for Vincent Lewis. They just seem to be quite controlled. Hayden Wild on the front, Ben Canute, Henry Schumann in the blue jersey, Jonathan Brownlee looking very, very comfortable. Matt Hauser in the centre.
At this point, Henry Schumann must have had a look around and realised that there's no pink jersey.
He knows.
So he needs to wonder whether the rest are going to come with him if he kicks on and tries to make sure that Vincent Lewis doesn't... I suppose there's people behind them that aren't going to go with them regardless, so really it's not going to make all that much of a difference.
We're just looking at
the group of 11 there.
Vincent Lewis doesn't care what's happening up front. He cares what number 15 is doing. That's his spot to the next stage. It's all that matters.
There's 15 people on screen as far as I can tell, with a group of 11 there, including Murray at the back, and a further 3, 4 with Tommy Zafiris and Oscar Coggins,
That's
and then
on
the bubble is Andreas Schilling in 16th position. So Vincent Lewis is looking at Andreas Schilling, and we'll find out now exactly how far behind he is.
9 to sharp. I think Henry's just gone, you know what? I may win this
Schilling,
championship.
in fact, is in 15th position. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
So Zafiris has dropped back through the pack after a fantastic swim and a good bike as well. And Andreas Schilling, wearing the 00 on his back, is in 15th position and 12 back. We're not seeing a 16th position for a while, so those seconds are adding up.
We've just got to subtract, and this is where our math comes. Schofield's in between Skilling and Jumpy.
So it's over 25 seconds. It is in fact 30 seconds flat and 1 lap to go. You'd think that Vincent Lewis can't get back 30 seconds, but I've seen stranger things, not many. But if anyone can do it, it's Vince Lewis. There he is.
Polyansky drifted a lot further back. He was right in that front group, led the swim out. Now he's behind Vincent Lewis, who's ridden the entire bike right on a flat tyre.
Great run there from Matt Sharp as well, who stuck with his pack the whole way. Ryan Bailey and Oscar Coggins as well, the 19-year-old. Tyler Misterchuk's always there or thereabouts. And all of these guys are safe at this point. And you can see, well, we would have just seen the gap back. But Henry Schumann, well, he looks in supreme form, doesn't he? He's so meticulous in his preparation. As I said, finished 4th in Cape Town behind another alumni from Super League Triathlon, Alex Yee, the Brit, who really has announced himself in a big way. He comes from 10K running. He's so fast on the run. Trains on his own, Henry Schumann, with his dad, Joe. A little bit different to a lot of the others who train in teams under coaches, but him and his dad, Joe, training back in South Africa. 27-year-old. His run has been fantastic. We've seen him run his way to some famous victories over the last couple of years.
Henry just loves to sit on the front. He's such a front runner. He's got such a big swim. He gets out in front. He feels comfortable. He just seems to relax in his running form when he's on the front. He doesn't sit in a group as comfortably as, say, a Jonny Brownlee, who tends to feed off the energy of the group. But Henry likes to be in that position he is right now. He's looking at $1,000 if he wins the stage.
Well, no, he's not. I think someone's coming down the inside at quite a pace.
I'll put a bet on it at the table.
He loves the $1,000. He took it at the top of the hill in Malta as well. But that'll be a nice shot to put on Jaden Schofield's wall.
It's Schomburg,
Jonas Schomburg.
Good on you.
Jonas Schomburg, he'll take the $1,000 thanks to a nice kick there. Unless he has a trip or something equally as unlucky, but Jonas Schomburg, the 24-year-old qualifier from Poznan, he's an emotional racer. He puts it all on the line, and he wins the stage from Schumann, Brownlee, Wild, Canute, Connings, on debut in Super League from Matt Sharp, Matt Hauser, Leo Berger, Richard Murray, and by the look of it, Vincent Lewis is out of the Eliminator.
That is Super League racing. One mistake, one piece of bad luck.
And he wasn't too far back either in the end.
Yeah.
Well, there's Jaden Schofield, but Vince was right behind Jaden a minute ago, and I don't know whether he's just stopped there. There he is.
Big run.
And that's incredibly unlucky for Vince Lewis, who stuck with it and gave as much as he possibly could. Very, very tough for our championship leader. A bit of bad luck, and it looked like he was going to have perhaps the perfect season. And Nathan Killam is unlucky as well. And Igor Polyansky, he's been so fit, as you said, he's been training with Richard Murray himself. We had him on the show earlier, said he was fit and he was ready, but he had a little bit of a problem and some niggles, and maybe that's what hurt him in the end. And speaking of hurt,
oh man,
Vince Louis.
What a tragedy. What a day. You wonder what right now Henry Skumansik, you see him in the background in the blue jersey, he's just gone straight back to business. He's such a professional, but suddenly you'd be rubbing your hands together thinking, wow, a bit of luck has fallen my way and the championship is up for grabs. I can win this. I would never in a million years have picked that Vincent Lewis would be eliminated in the first stage of the Eliminator.
All right, a little trip to the ice baths for Jonny Brownlee and the rest of those who need to go again. But right now, let's head down to Annie Emerson, who is with a very unlucky championship leader.
Vincent, I'm so sorry. There's nothing more I can say. It's racing, right? There's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, but I would say that's sport, that's not math. Good thing I'm not good at math and better at sport, but that's it, you know. I'm happy for Henry. He really got the overall. I can now rest for tomorrow. Trying to have a good race. I need to check what happened to my tire. It was a brand new tire. I don't want to say anything, but I will check what happened to my bike before races. In my Oka already had a chain drop. It never happened to me. That's the first flat in 15 years of triathlon.
Wow.
So I will keep an eye on my bike next time.
Okay, you need to keep an eye on your bike, absolutely. But sometimes it can happen, right? The tires can overheat, or maybe you picked up something on the road.
Yeah, I think that's the only flat in the World Super League since Jersey. So we'll see.
Okay, if nothing else, you win the award for the best bike handling skills, because that was something else, how you took that bike around the course.
Yeah, I just need to call my sponsor to send me a brand new rear wheel, because I think I destroyed this one, but yeah, it was fun. Like a attraction park with the curve, so I had some fun, but it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, Vincent, we're really, really sorry, but we'll look forward to seeing you in great shape from tomorrow's race and no punches.
Yeah, that's it. I will do my best tomorrow, try to conserve, I don't know what I can hope, 3rd or 4th, but it doesn't really matter now.
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay, cheers.
Well, that hurts. It certainly does, and this is where it happened too. Just a little bit too much power, perhaps, put the back wheel out, and that was the end of that. You can see already it's not tracking like it should, that back tyre. And as he said, brand new tyre, first puncture in 15 years of triathlon, and it could not have happened at a worse moment for Vincent Lewis. And that is how easily championship results can be thrown into disarray, and the man who stands to capitalise the most is Henry Skuman. He's with Annie.
Henry, okay, so the big news of the day, your closest rival, the guy that was ahead of you in the rankings, is out of today's racing. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I'm actually really gutted. I mean, I can really feel for him. There's a lot on the line, and to have a puncture in the first race is devastating, so I really feel bad for him. And it's not the way that, if it turns out that I win the race in the series, it's not the way that I wanted to. I mean, I really wanted a good battle with him, but I hope he comes back tomorrow, and I hope he comes back angry.
Yeah, I mean, he was really disappointed. He said that it's the first time it's ever happened in Super League racing, so he was a bit shocked that he picked up a puncture.
Yeah, it's really bad luck, but yeah, I feel for him, but I'm going to focus on my own racing. There's still a lot of good athletes out here that could still beat me, but you know, just going to focus and hopefully I can perform.
I have to say, you look very controlled and relaxed out there. Was it as easy as you made it look?
I try to go as easy as possible, but it's hot out here. It's just only going to heat up even more over the next 2 races.
Okay, good luck for the next race.
What an absolutely outstanding answer from Henry Skuman. That is exactly the kind of answer you want from a man who loves his racing. Here is our eliminated athletes. Unfortunately, the Schofields ran into each other. We've talked about Vincent Lewis. Nathan Killam left it all out there. Igor Polyansky had a great swim. Jumpy Furia as well, debutant from Japan, and another debutant, Mark Yu from Hong Kong, found the going tough, as did Ollie Turner from Jersey, and he's been a great addition, of course, across this Super League season. But those men go home. There are 8 of them, and 15 go on to stage 2. Let's have a look back at how it all shook out in the opening stage, and there was plenty of action all the way through the pack. It was a nice clean start. Matt Hauser got a great start alongside Tommy Zafiris, and in the middle of the pack it was a great swim as well from Igor Polyansky, and he led into the first buoy and around as they turned for home as well. There was plenty of chopping and changing in the middle there as Skuman fought with Hauser for second position and to find the feet of Polyansky. In the end, it was Skuman that found those feet, but it was a nice swim all round. Polyansky was out of the water first, and Skuman and Hauser came out together ahead of Canute. Onto the bike they went for 5 laps. There were some great transitions there, and Hauser came out first from Polyansky, Skuman, and then we saw Vincent Lewis there in 4th position ahead of Tommy Zafiris, who had a great swim. The Schofields tangled with each other. We know they like to do things together, but that was a little too much together. And then a little slide out at the back there. We know those pavings can be a little bit slippery even in the dry, and there was 3 laps with a flat tyre for Vincent Lewis, who gutsed it out and nearly ran his way back, but it was a bridge too far. Instead, Hayden Wild let out the run. He looks to be in great form, as do all the men you can see in your picture. Jonas Schomburg in the end was the winner, but it was the story all about Vincent Lewis. Schomburg takes the yellow tape from Henry Skuman, Jonathan Brownlee. They all quickly get 10 minutes to recover and cool down in the ice bath, but there is Vincent Lewis, and that hurts, absolutely hurts. So the stage results for the first stage of the Eliminator. Schomburg takes the $1,000 for winning the stage from Skuman, Brownlee, Wild, Canute, your top 5. Matthew Sharp raced well into 6th position ahead of Dorian Connings. Matthew Hauser is back in a big way from Leo Bergier, and Richard Murray will head back down to Annie, who's been very busy, and she's found Jonathan Brownlee.
Jonny, you did what you had to do there, but that was some chaotic times on the bike out there.
Yeah, it's the first race, and everyone's a little bit nervous and tense, and I got battered in the first rim, so I was quite far back, and then you're quite far back on the bike then, and yeah, it's a bit harder than I wanted to go.
Just a quick one, how are you feeling ahead of the next race?
Tired, but hopefully everyone else is tired, but hopefully I'll get better as it goes on.
Great stuff, good luck.
Thank you.
That is the Olympic silver medalist from Rio. Jonathan Brownlee has one of the best resumes in the sport, of that there is no doubt, and there is so many good and qualified triathletes on that pontoon. If you're just joining us, the Eliminator, tenacity is key. 3 stages, 10-minute breaks in between, 23 start, swim, bike and run. The top 15 only go through to stage 2 after a 10-minute break. Same again, swim, bike and run, and then 5 go home and 10 go on to stage 3. You do not have to finish first in stage 1 or 2, just conserve your energy and give it all in stage 3. This is stage 2 right now. 15 athletes. Henry Skuman will be, obviously, as he said, gutted that his main championship rival, Vincent Lewis, is not there after that flat tyre, but it's a bit of a let-off for him. He needs to capitalise now, refocus. Don't worry about that, and focus on doing well here, getting to stage 3 and winning that race to maximise his advantage. But there are plenty of men between him and a race win.
And Vincent Lewis right now will be looking at this result, with these races now, these stages, with absolute eagerness. Yeah, it's not all over. You've got Jonathan Brownlee now, who is in good form. We saw him go to war with Vincent in Mallorca in the last round. He seems to be in good form, and if he can put Henry Skuman back, Vincent's still in this. So
well,
it'll be interesting.
If Richard Murray or Jonny Brownlee can have a big race win here in stage 3, they keep their hopes of winning this whole thing very much alive.
Exactly. We would never have imagined coming into stage 2 of the Eliminator that we'd be talking about Vincent Lewis not being on the podium in the overall championship series.
It could be. Anything could be as we head into stage 2. A great start from furthest from us, Henry Skuman in the blue. On his feet is Matt Hauser. Of course, the pontoon spot's decided by the finishing places in the previous stage. So Skuman's decided to take the furthest spot, now closest to us as we cross to the other side.
Tommy Zafiris
Matt Hauser is behind him, yes, on the very far side. Yeah, I think that is Tommy Zafiris, who was, as we say, an Olympic trialist in the swim and got a berth in, let me get this right, Mallorca by virtue of a fantastic swim time trial time. In Malta, we gave him a start and said if you can make it into the top 5 of the swim time trial, we'll give you a crack in the next round, and he did exactly that. The husband of our women's championship leader, Katie Zafiris, who had a win earlier on in the women's Eliminator.
Looks like Tommy's got a straighter line to the front to that first swim buoy. If you look, Henry's gone a lot further to the left, and we'll be interested to see who hits that first. Jonny Brownlee's opted to go on the Henry Schoeman side. He's sitting at about 5th in the red jersey, but Tommy has nailed that. It looks to be a lot better. You can see Henry now starting to tack back across.
Schoeman is known for, I've seen him before, have a very wobbly swims. He's very, very fast, but he can go offline from time to time. It's just that he's so fast he usually gets back online and still leads to the first buoy, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Tommy will have that inside line on the buoy, but he's been beaten by Henry.
In Beijing last year at the Beijing International Tri, I think he hit a kayak who was off course and then kept going, still won the swim by quite a length.
Ben Canute, 3rd in the silver jersey. What a wonderful swimmer he is. He's probably we talk about him a lot. He's got the best range within the sport. We saw him finish 5th place in the Ironman 70.3 championship, which is a 4-hour race. And when you're doing 18-minute races like you are now, to be this close to the front shows the caliber of athlete you are.
3-time national champion and Olympian Ben Canute of the USA. We haven't talked about him much, number 75, training in Arizona, so he's used to the heat. Got engaged to his lovely fiancée Courtney over the summer break. So there's a couple people who got engaged or married. That's what you have to do if you're a triathlete. You have to do all your personal stuff over Christmas because it's the only time you've got.
Henry loves this position. We see him a lot in the triple mix. We saw this in particular in Jersey. We had the short shoots there, but he gets out of transition. He gets out of the swim very, very quickly. He sets up that clear water, very fast through transition, onto the bike, likes to get those clean runs and sets it up. He's such a magnificent runner, and as Richard Murray insinuated in his interview, these are the conditions that he grew up in. He loves hot, humid conditions. He's from Durban in South Africa, and he just seems to thrive in it. But it's definitely cooler than it was for the women's race. Yeah,
I think it's gone down a good couple of degrees from the women's race, and there's a breeze out there now, which is certainly going to help as they swim past Chris McCormack's boat there at the middle of your screen at the top.
Yeah, I'm trying to sell it. If anyone wants it, it's theirs. But I was interested to see Jonny Brownlee. He said in the first race he had a terrible swim and had a bad start. He seemed to be a bit further back again than we've seen him before. You see them in the center of the screen. That's Jonny.
Henry Schoeman, though, out of the water, has a quick look around and sees Tommy Zafiris right behind him. And Ben Canute, who's wearing the silver by virtue of having the quickest transition times over the course of the season. Tyler Mislichuk in better position ahead of Matt Hauser. A big slip there from Jonas Schomburg, who won the last round, the last stage, if you like. Aiden Wild out of the water as well, but there's a good spread across our top 15 as they head into transition for the first time in stage 2 of the men's Eliminator. The grand final here in Singapore of Super League Triathlon. $1.5 million on the line.
A bad swim, a long way back for Matt Hauser. For Matt Hauser, I was talking to him as a swimmer. He's a long way back. I would expect to be a lot closer to the front. That's the worst I've seen him swim in the series. I don't know if he went a little bit too hard in that first one.
Well, you know what, it's pretty hard for him. It's only his second swim of the series, and you just called him worst you've seen in the series. He's only been in Super League for 20 minutes.
To me, Matt Hauser is one of the best swimmers in the sport of triathlon, and to see him, 5 back here is just, yeah.
Well, Richard Murray currently in 13th position. There he is in the green, and knowing he needs to finish inside the top 10, and he's one of our championship contenders as well. So things starting to look easier and easier for Henry Schoeman and potentially Jonathan Brownlee, but we'll see how it shakes out across the course of this stage. The top 10 go through. Henry Schoeman leads from Canute and Zafiris. That's your top 3. A little gap back to Tyler Mislichuk, who's having a much better race, the Canadian, and then 5 seconds or so to Hauser, Sharp and Wild, who lead, and Richard Murray.
Great through that
12, so good. Andreas Schilling.
He's Dorian Connex. He's the junior and under-23 world champion from 14 and 15. One of the best of the French. He won the world championships and one of the favourites to make that powerful French team for the Tokyo Olympics and to win that gold medal in that mixed team relay.
Well, the French won the World Champs gold in Hamburg in 2018. They also won the European Champs gold in the mixed team relay as well. He's the 2017 French sprint champ. He knows how to go fast, and he's going to need to because the pace is getting set by these guys. Mislichuk's having a bit of a lonely race at the moment in 4th position. Trains with John O'Hall and the Multisport Brain team in Arizona. And a big win, Mislichuk at the top of the hill in Malta in the second stage of that Eliminator, if you remember. And that really was a big boost in confidence. I know that because he shares the same photo of him winning on Instagram about once a week. Canute, 5 minutes and 42 seconds into this second stage ahead of Skuman, Zafiris and Mislichuk 4 seconds back.
He's just sitting off the back. He hasn't been able to tack on the back of that of Andreas Schilling and make his ride through this loop a lot easier. He's just been chasing, and that really stinks the legs.
So with a little gap open with the elimination of Vincent Lewis, Henry Skuman is intent on leading this one from the front ahead of 2 Americans. Ben Canute signed with Bahrain Endurance. They only signed the best of the best ahead of Tommy Zafiris.
Tommy's got a free ride here. Hasn't got the big run, and if he can let these guys pull him away, he gets to coast through. Remember, top 10 through to the stage 3, and you've got some powerhouse runners back here that are going to eat into his lead. So the margin of error for Tommy Zafiris is important.
Wild, Berger, Sharp and Brownlee are in that chasing pack from 5th through to 8th. But there is our top 3. Having a little bit of a discussion, having a look back as well as Skuman tucks in behind Canute. Love the way Ben Canute races. He really leaves nothing out there. He may not have the most economical, I suppose, running style or biking style, but he muscles his way around, and he does it, as you say, in formats ranging from super sprint through to 70.3.
But he knows that his run, if he has a weakness, it's his run. So this margin of error for him, he's committed here, and he races with his heart. He's just totally gritty. He puts it all on the line. We saw him in Mallorca on the climb, just go top to bottom, and unfortunately a back injury put him out there, but it's a statement he's going to make. He wants to get through the final. There's Vincent Lewis.
Oh, that is the pain face from Vincent Lewis, who is seeing his perfect season slip away right in front of his eyes. Can't help but feel for him. He's such a gentleman, Vincent Lewis. He's been the star of our series since coming on in Jersey this year. And nobody wants to see that. Dorian Connings finding the going tough. But at the moment, it's Canute and Tommy Zafiris, who had a great bike in the first stage in the top 3 and then fell back down the order in the run. Knows he needs to put himself right up there if he's going to make it through to stage 3 this time. He finished a very credible night on debut in Mallorca, and he needs to give himself as much space on the run as he can.
Leo Berger just closed that gap just for sheer bike handling skills. He tore through that chicane and came out the other side. He went from 10 metres to about 3.5 to be on the back of that front group. I think he's closed it right down, and he has. That was pure bike handling skill to close that gap. There was no increase in effort. He just took a lot of chances, spread it out, got through the chicane, and we saw that gap just immediately eliminated.
We are shaping up to have a very, very interesting race for the top 10 because, as you can see, there's 10 riders there, and then behind them, Richard Murray, and then behind that, Matt Hauser. So, 13 in our lead pack, as far as I can tell, with Ryan Bailey sitting off the back with Matt Hauser, and joining them Andreas Schilling. And it will be a big run, 1,800-metre run to the line. The top 10 go through. Here they are right now. Berger in 4th, Mislichuk 5th from Hayden Wild, the 2-time Xterra Under-19 world champ from New Zealand. One of the future stars of our series of that, there is no doubt. Jonathan Brownlee, Matt Sharp, Jonas Schomburg and Oscar Coggins, who's having quite the day out from Hong Kong.
Is he what?
He's been racing elite as well as juniors, the 19-year-old. Rayon Elite Asian Cup earlier in January, actually. He finished 5th. Cycling is, without a doubt, his strongest discipline, Oscar Coggins. Finished 6th in the Junior ITU Grand Final on the Gold Coast at the end of last year, so he's having quite the run at it. As he sits among the best the sport has to offer. Andreas Schilling on the back of a pack of 13.
And Canute, he's been on the front of this bike since the beginning. He's done a lot of work. That gap's been closed. Jonny Brownlee looks very, very composed today. He said he felt average in that first race, but he stayed right up where he needs to be. Tactically, very, very clever. He's shadowing Henry Schumann, who he knows is going to be right near the front. And it'd be magnificent. We saw in Mallorca, Johnny totally outrun Henry Schumann. So it's not over for Henry. And if Johnny can put him out of the equation, Vincent Lewis will be rubbing his hands together. Murray back there. Andreas Schilling has just been dangling off the back. He stayed close. He needs to stay close. This is the last lap. Hayden Wild, centre of screen. Jonny Brownlee very, very focused.
So just an update on the championship standings. As it stood coming into this weekend, Vincent Lewis would have it wrapped up if he finished in the top 2. If Schumann won the weekend. So now, if Henry Schumann wins the weekend and he's looking good, sitting in 4th position at the moment, he needs to obviously win this or come very close and have a great enduro tomorrow. But if he takes maximum points and wins the weekend, and Lewis is outside the top 2, Henry Schumann is champion. So now it's very unlikely that Vincent Lewis will finish inside the top 2 for the weekend. Therefore, if Henry wins the weekend, he's 99% sure he's going to win the whole thing. So win this round, win the championship.
So if you're Vincent Lewis right now, in the utmost respect, you're barracking for everyone but Henry Schumann.
100%. 100%.
So you're looking at Hayden Wild, you're looking at Jonathan Brownlee, you're looking at Ben Canute, you're looking at everybody to finish in front of Henry Schumann to take those valuable points away. Henry's aware of that.
So Henry will know if he can win this weekend, he's pretty much got it in the bag as they come into transition and head out onto the run. So this is a $120,000 US weekend for Henry Schumann, and if you do triathlon, you'll know how much money that is in this sport. And we have 2 laps on the run. Hayden Wild first into transition. Needs a good transition, as do all of these men, knowing that some of them are going to miss out. Wild out first, and he's hit Ryan Bailey's bike, so that's not going to help him at all. Ryan Bailey, no doubt they'll have a discussion about that this evening. Schumann 3rd, Sharp 4th, Zafiris in 5th. Now, he didn't have a great run, Tommy Zafiris. He's not renowned for his run. Tyler Mislachuk, Leo Berger, Schomburg, Brownlee, Murray, Hauser, Coggins, Schilling, Bailey. 4 of these men will not go on to stage 3. And at the moment, Matt Hauser, Oscar Coggins, Andreas Schilling and Ryan Bailey are those 4. Although Hauser is quite close to Berger and he's just overtaken Tommy Zafiris. So Zafiris drops into the danger zone.
Oscar Coggins at the back there in 12th position.
Would love to see him go through to the final stage. He's done a lot of work. He deserves it. But out the front, Hayden Wild.
The Falcon. Hasn't he been the real find of Super League racing? He's just come into his own. He's matured as an athlete. Everybody within the series has taken him on board. They love him. You think of the Hayden Wild that came to Jersey, the starstruck young New Zealander, who's now one of the true stars of our race. And I would go, he could win this. He could win this round. He's been in such good form. He seems very confident. His whole family's here to watch him race, and he's racing with intensity and eagerness.
I met his grandparents yesterday. They are humongous Hayden Wild fans. They are enjoying every minute of their grandson's rise to prominence.
Schomburg again, who won stage 1, pushing to the front. This is the best we've seen Jonas Schomburg during the whole entire league.
I absolutely agree. He's always threatened to bust it open, but this certainly seems to be us watching that right now. Jonas Schomburg, who already got stage 1 in the bag, now leads stage 2. He's always been an excellent swimmer. He's got all the arsenal that he needs now. But just to hark back to Hayden Wild, you see there in 2nd position. The moment I feel like he really realised that he could mix it with the best was that sprint with 3-time and reigning world champion Mario Mola down the straight in Jersey.
Who'd only just won his 3rd world title the week prior. And here comes young Hayden Wild from New Zealand. Absolute no respect for titles, and outkicked him. He then outkicked Jonny Brownlee in Malta. He's been right there. He won a stage. He's been a real shining star of the series.
So Oscar Coggins has fallen off the back there, and Tommy Zafiris is finding the going tough at the front. It's Schomburg from Wild.
It's good to see
Richard Brownlee.
Richard Murray on the back there. His foot was a concern, but he seems to be staying very, very close. He's survived, and he will survive into the final round.
Let's not forget that Richard Murray has won every Eliminator we've ever put on. He won in Hamilton Island in our test event in 2017. He won again in Malta just 3 months or 4 months ago.
He said he's done 8 days of run training. If that's what 8 days of run training can run with this group, that's talent. He's looking back, counting numbers.
1 lap to go. Andreas Schilling at the back there. Matt Hauser as well is in danger because there is 9 men in that group. Schilling is 10th.
Schilling's 10th, so Matt Hauser sitting in 11th. He has to get Schilling. Yeah, I said that with his swim. He's usually a lot faster out of the blocks in the swim. And I know he's 4th or 5th out of the water, but Matty is renowned for his power swimming, his quick transitions. Oh, Leo Bergier.
Have a look there on the right of your screen. Leo Bergier's not wearing any shoes.
Look at that. Did he lose his shoes? Is that a tactical decision? Interesting.
He's going to be feeling it tonight, there's no doubt about it, but on the way home, on the home straight, he's running on the grass verge to try and help himself. I've never seen that before.
Let's hope he hasn't lost his shoes, otherwise there's going to be a conspiracy theory against the French in this race, because we've lost Vincent Lewis with a flat tyre in the first one, and the last thing we need to do is see, which I don't think we will, Leo Bergier have lost his shoes.
I'll tell you what, both of them have shown incredible grit.
Without question.
He's going to run around here, Leo Bergier, and if all goes to plan, arrive in stage 3. And Vincent Lewis rode 3 laps with a flat tyre and didn't give up and tried to run his way home. So
Richard Murray pushed himself straight through that chicane, straight into the front.
Well, he knows how to do the job in the Eliminator, we know that, and there is Matt Hauser trailing Andreas Schilling, so he just needs to cover that gap. Matt Hauser, who, the 20-year-old, has...
Oh, there's Leo Bergier on the grass.
Yeah, on the grass, there you go.
So it obviously was not a choice to run in bare feet. He has lost his shoes. You don't opt for bare feet when you're looking for grass.
He's lucky that Singapore is just about the cleanest country in the entire world, because there is nothing on the ground there that's going to stick into his foot, we hope. But there you can see him running on the grass. And you see, oh, I just
thought he was going to
jump over that.
Jeez, Richard Murray. 8 days of run training, he told us, prior to the women's event. He's put himself right in. He stayed close in the first stage. He's now leading stage 2, and maybe he's taken a... You know, with Vincent Lewis out, he's right in the hunt for here to finish on the podium.
This is what Super League Triathlon Racing does to you, though. You have to be absolutely on point. Maybe he couldn't find his shoes, Leo Bergier. He had to push a little bit hard, Vincent Lewis, and the cracks can sometimes show. We've seen people go out on the run with their helmet on. We've seen people on the bike with their running shoes on. We've seen all sorts of things as we up the ante at Super League Triathlon and punish any errors. And Matt Hauser, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do the job and cross that gap. He's put it all in. You can see it on his face. And here we are for stage 2. We're waiting for them to come around the corner. Who's got the kick? That is the big question. Richard Murray is streeted them, and he will take a stage 2 win, and a big boost for Richard Murray ahead of another South African Schoeman. Brownlee comes in 3rd. Wild. Schilling did well there, and Sharp as well. Schomburg, Bergier, and Matt Hauser really pushed up there at the end, but just wasn't quite enough.
Leo's gone straight to the tub, so he's not looking for his shoes. He's gone straight to the ice tub, but...
Ryan Bailey comes home, and Tommy Zafiris as well. Great effort from Tommy Zafiris after joining late the series. And that's Michael Thompson going, mate, do you realise you didn't have your shoes on? The race director wondering exactly what happened. We'll try and get to the bottom of that during the 10-minute break as we count down to stage 3, where it will be all on the line.
Let's hope the technicality of not wearing shoes.
We go down to Anya, we can see her shouldering her way through to Richard Murray, so we'll throw down right now.
Richard, we thought you were going to have problems on the run, but you showed us otherwise.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know what, $1,000 better than $0,000. So, yeah, no, my ankle was hurting, but I thought, you know, if I go now, I can get $1,000 and, yeah, at least show myself and have some good fun here today.
Okay, out of 10, how much was the ankle hurting, really?
Well, I don't know. I don't like to milk it, but probably about a 7.
But
6 or a 7, but yeah, I'm happy with that.
And you're happy to go through to the next race
yeah,
without
I'll
any
go through and I'll
problems?
see how it handles in the last run, but yeah, I just want to be careful.
And what are your thoughts on the race so far? The bike looks frantic, right?
Yeah, no, the bike, sorry, I'm finding out the bike, the chicane down there is extremely tough. It's bottleneck and it really slows down, so if you're at the back, you really suffer. So on the run, even on the run, you suffer, so I decided to go on the S-bend on the run and yeah, picked up some cash, which is always nice.
Now you just got to hang on for the swim because you're down to 10 athletes and this is the sore point for you, right?
Yeah, I thought if I got to the last round, I'd be very happy with it. And after the first round today, it was pretty sore and not loosened up, so just got to be careful.
Okay, great stuff. Good luck, Richard.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
$1,000 to Richard Murray, so congratulations to him. He found the pace when it mattered, and he's saying that he's not that confident about his ankle, but I wouldn't be surprised if he runs this one home and wins the Eliminator. Matt Hauser, disappointed obviously. Jonny Brownlee, the Olympic silver medalist and the bronze medalist as well from London.
He's looking very, very comfortable and composed. He's got that bounce back in his step and anything can happen.
Couple of Aussies, 11th and 12th, Matt Hauser and Ryan Bailey, both rejoining our series after Jersey 2017. Tommy Zafiris, again, a great swim, a great bike. His run let him down. He finished 13th ahead of Oscar Coggins, who's had a great weekend thus far, and Dorian Connick's found time a little bit tough there at the end. We're going to head down now again. No, we're not going to head down again. It's an ever-changing scenario down there in the ice bars, I guess.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Mickey Mouse ice bars we had in Hamilton Island. We'll look back across the course of the second stage. We were going to hear from Leo Bergier, but he needs a little bit of attention, I think, medically first, and we'll wait for that. No doubt he's just run 2 kilometres in bare feet, so fair enough. A nice start from Henry Schoeman, who went perhaps a little bit offline and gave himself a little bit more work to do, along with Matt Hauser as well, who followed him out, along with a few others. But he still hit the turn boy first. Tommy Zafiris slotted in second and had a very similar stage, if you like, to the one he had to open this men's Eliminator. Ben Canute, number 75, came out third ahead of Tyler Mislachuk, who had a better swim, and it just shows you a good swim can really help. A little bit of a slip from Jonas Schomburg, amongst a few others, including Hayden Wilde. And there was Matt Hauser at the back of your screen. He found going tough, because if you don't have a good swim, it just shows you with this course the way it is, just how much that can punish you. Mislachuk in 4th position. Our top 3 held on for a couple of laps before some great biking from Leo Bergier helped cover that gap. Really quick off the bike, Hayden Wilde was, coming into transition as they went out on the run in stage 2. Hayden Wilde was out first, a little bit of a crash with Ryan Bailey's bike, didn't stop him though. And Schomburg led for a time, as he did in stage 1, as did Jonathan Brownlee. And there you can see Leo Bergier just having a difficult time without any shoes on. We still don't exactly know why. Richard Murray took the $1,000, and I feel like perhaps he's just talking himself down. In fact, there you go, he crossed the line twice. We're not going to give him $2,000 though. Not a chance. Schoeman and Brownlee 2nd and 3rd ahead of Wilde, Sharp, Schilling, Schomburg. Sharp, Schilling and Schomburg all together. There is
Look at that.
the shots of Leo Bergier's feet, so
There's Brad Beer.
that hurts. Not sure exactly what happened, just couldn't find his shoes when he needed them. We're going to have a look at the stage results right now. Richard Murray in a tick under 19 minutes, and we'll see exactly how fast stage 3 is if 19 minutes wins stage 2. Ahead of Schoeman, Brownlee, Wilde, Mislachuk, Sharp, Schilling and Schomburg, Canute and Leo Bergier, who we'll hear from right now. He's with Annie.
Leo, what was the decision behind wearing no shoes on the run?
I tried to run with my shoes, and it was too slippery. I was losing it while running in the first meters, so I decided to give it a go, to try running barefoot. But it was the best decision at this time to try to qualify for the final. But my feet are burning now. I'm bleeding, so I will do my best for the next leg.
We have seen there was quite a lot of blood on the bottom of your feet, but you're deciding to go ahead with the next race.
Yeah, I will just give it a go and we'll see what happens. But I'm not confident because I can't even walk properly, so I will try.
One more race.
Well, sorry to hear that, Leo. Feel like
Saturday.
Okay.
One more.
All right.
It's interesting, huh?
Very much pushing the boundary, Super League Triathlon, and people are looking for any little,
Well, he opted to take the shoes off because he felt he was slipping too much, and now he's destroyed his feet.
Okay, well, we're going to try what we can do to stay up with the front pack here at Super League Triathlon Singapore. Maybe a decision he'll look back on and change his mind about as the crowd enjoys a fantastic racing here. And it's been a great week for all of our athletes here in Singapore. We've really put it on Singapore for Super League Triathlon. And in fact, if you can believe this, earlier in the week, they caught up with none other than basketball's Harlem Globetrotters.
How you doing? I'm Dragon.
And I'm Ice.
We're the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. We're here in Singapore about to have some fun, one of my favorite countries in the world. We're going to be showing tricks to the amazing Super League Triathlon athletes. It's going to be a lot of fun. I heard they're pretty talented, so I can't wait.
Today we're going to be taught some awesome basketball tricks.
We're a bit scared of doing it today.
I think I'm just going to try and rely on my Philippine basketball skills, honestly, to get me through this. It's going to be a coordination test, which we don't do a lot of with triathlon.
Yeah, I'll double tap that one for sure.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
Hey.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so we had to practice the spin trick a bit.
Like that, yeah. Easy, look at that. She got the skills.
Oh! There you go.
Okay, so we have this thing called the three-man weave.
It's
just like that.
And then we get faster.
And after a while, it starts to go fast like this here. Oh, yeah. They did amazing. You know, we did a magic circle where we do some of our tricks, certain things with spinning the ball and bringing it around our body.
I guess we just got a sample of what they actually do, which was pretty cool.
So yeah, I thought it would be tricky to try and do two things at once. So I was trying to do a track stand on the bike and shoot. But I didn't realize your focus goes away from what you're doing when you try and shoot. So it was really challenging, but almost managed to get it, which was good fun and a first for me.
That might be the new thing, you know, open bike, run, and throw. That's a good combo.
Yeah, I think I'm retiring from basketball as of today. But it's been a good career so far. I've enjoyed it.
Murray nearly put his brand new BMC, just inked a new deal, into the water in the harbour here in Singapore. Now, Leo Berger, you just saw his feet. It looks like he's going to start this one, but will he continue? That's the question.
His feet are destroyed. You saw Brad Beer working on them, but it surprised me that he opted to take those shoes to get himself in the final. I guess even if he doesn't finish, he's in 10th. So it's better than being eliminated in the last event. So it's a strategic move. It'll be interesting to see if he can get through. You can see him looking at his feet there.
This is a man who's sitting in 6th position overall in the championship and could be as high as, you know, 4th or 3rd if he goes on and if he has a good finish here. So that really was a big, big decision from Leo Berger. Obviously, in the moment, he was slipping. But it gives a free pass to someone like a Ben Canute, who has 10 points adrift at the moment. But an explainer of the Eliminator. Stage 1, 2, and 3. 3 triathlons, 1 lap in the swim, 5 laps on the bike, 2 laps on the run. We lose from our 23 athletes 8 after the first stage. A 10-minute break. The top 15 go through, and then the top 10 go through into stage 3. And this is stage 3. It is all on the line, and Richard Murray's fallen into the water early.
If he's false started, he's going to be held back. He's going to be last out and get a 5-second penalty at the end. Did he go in early?
He went in early, I think.
Oh, that's a costly false start.
A very, very costly false start. So the Eliminator keeps throwing up different situations. Let's have a look. Oh, he's just lost his balance and slipped.
Ooh.
And that looks to me like a false start.
It's a false start. He's hit the water. He's been punished because he didn't get to dive, so he's already last. So that's going to be very, very difficult. And again, Henry Scoom in our blue jersey, straight to the front. He's so much quicker when there's less athletes in the water because all those gaps aren't filled. Leo Berger's out.
Right, so he's just jumped in the water, taking his 10th position. And Richard Murray, we have a scoring system here based on some pretty technical stuff to give them a score out of 10 against their peers for swim, bike and run and transitions. And Richard Murray has an 8.9 on the bike and 8.2 on the run, both great scores. and a 6.1 on the swim, which is nowhere near anyone around him. Hayden Wild also down on the swim, the 5.6. So already he's not the greatest swimmer.
I'm trying to see who that on the far right of the screen here. It looked like Hayden Wild, but I can't quite see, which would be brave for an athlete who's not renowned for a big swim.
As I said, yeah, 5.6 on the swim is one of the lowest swim scores from our top guys.
Or is it Schomburg? It could be Schomburg. I think it is.
I think it is Schomburg, actually.
It's Schomburg, which makes a lot more sense. He's a strong swimmer. You need to be a strong swimmer to have the confidence to move away from the pack and swim in clear water. Henry Schumann
have a great angle around that boy, but
Jonny Brownlee in the red jersey there.
Schumann's just looking like he's out for a leisurely Sunday swim.
Murray on Wild's feet. Who's that at the back? I can't quite see.
Yeah, difficult to see from that camera angle, but we do know that Henry Schumann, who's occasionally been so far out in a swim in a race that he's had to stop and have a look that he's going the right way.
Well, it's fast. It's strung out single file, and you see Jonathan Brownlee is sitting in 5th. There's a small gap that's opened up. Henry's laying it down here. When it goes single file like that and they go straight to the feet, the pace is on. It's the quickest way to swim. No one's sitting off each other's hips. There's no one bashing each other up. And you allow Henry Schumann to let his talent do the work, and you just jump on for the ride if you possibly can. But it seems like Jonny Brownlee has lost the feet of the 4th swimmer. Just off that last can. He has the capabilities of swimming back on, but these gaps matter, especially in this final.
We can confirm that Richard Murray will have a 5-second penalty when he jumps onto the bike, so that will hurt his chances as well. Richard Murray, of course, 3rd overall in the championship on 48 points behind Schumann on 63, led by Vincent Lewis, who, if you're just joining us, had a flat tyre and was knocked out in the opening stage. So Jonny Brownlee just 2 points behind Richard Murray. Will be very much hoping to reverse that 3rd and 4th positions as we head into tomorrow and the final round of Super League. So Schumann slipping out of the water. Canute comes second. He has a big slip, and therefore Schomburg overtakes him. He's all right though. Mislichuk out in 4th again. Sharp out in 5th again. Brownlee in 6th. Hayden Wild in 7th. Here comes Richard Murray. He's going to be held up in just a second.
And Schilling on the back.
Andreas Schilling in 10th position.
Murray's already giving up some gap with the 5-second penalty. He's shut himself out of this event, and I'm interested to see right where Jonathan Brownlee is, because what we're watching is a race now between Jonathan Brownlee and Henry Schumann. That's what Vincent Lewis will be watching, those 2 athletes in particular, and where they finish.
Yeah, not just because we said there's great athletes all around them, but they're the ones with championship aspirations, there's no doubt. Murray waits. Still he waits. 2, 1, off he goes. So that is going to leave him with a lot of work to do. Jonathan Brownlee back in 7th position, 11 seconds off our leader, Henry Schumann. Andreas Schilling in 8th, and now Murray goes through the timing mat, 26 seconds back on Schumann. Schumann has a look around, and he has daylight between him and Ben Canute, a train of 4. Mislichuk in there as well.
And there's Jonny just off the back of Matt Sharp. He needs to close that gap to Ben Canute. Ben Canute will put his head down and chase and chase and chase until he gets onto the back of Henry Schumann. And Jonny Brownlee's in a bit of danger here. He has to move up in this lap.
He knows it too. He's very animated. He needs to get himself around Matt Sharp, all 300,000 centimetres of Matt Sharp. Not sure how tall he is. He's up there near the 2-metre mark though.
You just don't want to be in a group chasing down Ben Canute. You know he's going to, as you can see right there, he puts his head down, he puts slams it into a big gear and works and works and works. If you're in the group, you know you're going to get a free ride, but Jonny Brownlee would be cursing the fact that Ben Canute is in front of him.
Brownlee is around Sharp. Schilling and Murray has managed to get onto the tail, so he's made 5 seconds up already to get onto the tail of Andreas Schilling. But Henry Schumann, he doesn't want to leave anything to chance as he comes around through transition for the first time. The crowd has built across the course of the day as the temperature has gone down a little bit here in Sentosa Cove.
He's on. Great first lap. A committed first lap. He's put his head down and got straight on the back of that group.
Henry Schumann, second in the championship. Looking to send it to an incredible day 2 here in Singapore. $100,000 on the line for the championship winner, 20,000 for the round winner, and Henry Schoeman wants both. He's sensing blood in Vincent Lewis' disappearance from this Eliminator, and he's smelling the money at the end of it, and the title of Super League champion as well.
Hayden Wild's the one who's going to chase. We know he's technically very, very astute on the bike, coming from the Xterra off-road background. He's been the standout, as we said earlier, at the series. And I do think he believes he can beat these guys and win a round of Super League.
Could this be it? You just saw him saying, come with me there to Tyler Mislachuk. Go around me, help me out. There's discussion. They need to work together, Mislachuk and Wild now, because Knut's just a little bit back. He comes back up on Schomburg, Brownlee, Sharp. So, can they work together to bring themselves up to Henry Schoeman?
The fact that Johnny's not chasing says two things to me. He's either resting up from the chase to get onto that group, or he believes there's enough horsepower within the next 2 laps and there's enough momentum and commitment from this group that they're going to close that gap to Henry Schoeman, because Johnny knows there's a lot on the line. Schoeman is very, very comfortable out front, and I think he's sitting back there feeling, okay, I'm watching what's happening. I think they're going to move across. They can close this. I save my legs and I've got a running race.
The gap currently 4 seconds. We'll keep an eye on that.
Now
6 men looking to chase down. Mislachuk now on the front. Wild tucked in behind, and Brownlee's moved up a couple of spots. There's the gap as they come down the backside of the course on the inside here on the pavers before they make the S-bend, the Singapore chicane, and out onto the road to loop back around. Schoeman the first through the chicane. There he goes. Cannot believe we haven't had more people come to grief here, but that just shows you the skill of our athletes. Schomburg now heading up.
Sharp's had a great day, hasn't he? Really, really strong day. One of his best performances in the league. If you're going to have a big day, grand final day's the day to have it.
Exactly,
he's been right there or thereabouts in both in the swim, and in particular in the run, where he's tended to struggle in other series. So he's coming into this season in magnificent form.
Little look behind from Schoeman.
Jonny Brownlee's now second wheel. He's starting to sense a little bit of urgency. That gap's not coming back as quickly as he possibly would like. I'm sure he'll give Hayden Wild a little bit of encouragement. Work on the inexperience of Wild. Push, 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 close that gap, and he may jump across.
Just a reminder, if Henry Schoeman wins this race and goes on to win the Enduro tomorrow here, the final day of Super League season 2018-19, the title and the $100,000 on offer is almost certainly his. 9 minutes into this final stage, 2 laps to go on the bike.
And here comes Johnny.
And that's exactly right. Jonny Brownlee is closing that gap. They've taken 2 seconds out of Schoeman on that last lap. And the question is now, they've shared the work, the train behind Schoeman. What's left in Henry Schoeman's legs if it comes down to a running race with Jonny Brownlee, the Commonwealth Games gold medalist and Rio bronze medalist, up against the London bronze medalist and Rio silver medalist?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Geez, they've got some titles between them.
Wow.
At major games, major championships, those two are near at the front or near to the front in every single one. And here we are again in the Eliminator in Sentosa Cove in Singapore, and it's all going to come down to a massive run.
So in our Super League scoring system, out of 10, Henry Schoeman has an 8.7 run. Jonathan Brownlee has an 8.3 run.
Ooh.
But Henry Schoeman has done more work on the bike, you'd think. The gap has now closed completely, and sitting on the wheel is Jonny Brownlee. Don't forget, behind them is 5 men who know how to win races as well.
Yeah.
Henry in the blue because he's the swim leader. Johnny in the red because he's the run leader, having had the fastest run splits in Mallorca. 1 lap to go on the bike. They cross the dismount line. For the last time on the bike, Knut's dropped down back with Schomburg and Sharp.
I think those boys there are counting heads. I think right now there's a group up front, and I see Hayden Wild really believing he can mix it with these two.
Ben Canute now takes the lead, so he's gone up 6 places.
Tyler Mislachok could back himself here as well. He's been running well. He's been as close to the front many times. He won one of the... Well, he just got out-sprinted by Hayden Wild in Malta. He likes his shorter, aggressive formats. He's been very, very calm through the first 2 stages. He's done minimal work, did 1 lap here on the bike. His legs will be fresh.
This is shaping up for a great running race. We'll see who's got the legs on day 1. It's the Singapore Super League Triathlon Grand Final. All roads have led to this. Very early on in the 2019 season, but the culmination of our Super League season, and what a race this is turning out to be. Ben Canute on the front. Jonny Brownlee tucked in behind, and now Schoeman gets a chance to just tuck in behind the larger frame of Brownlee. And think about the fact he's got 1,800 metres on the run to win this one. Wild now comes up.
And Henry's very, very slick in transition. I'm surprised he's drifted back to 3rd wheel. He's watching Jonny Brownlee. Hayden Wild on the outside, trying to get in fast. And look at that, Henry Schoeman slid up, get into transition first and out. Seconds count, and Jonny Brownlee is now 6th wheel. Look at that.
How quickly things can change. Again, Hayden Wild, as he did off the bike in stage 2, leads into transition for the final leg. A group of very high quality triathletes, the best you'll find. Wild's bike has come out of its mount. We'll have to put that back in.
Schomburg first out. Henry's beaten Jonny out.
Tough transition for Ben Canute.
And Richard Murray's had a magnificent bike ride. He lose that 5 seconds. He last out the water, 5 seconds lost, and still be there.
We know his transition's good. We know his run's good.
Fantastic transition.
But it's going to have to be absolutely superb. Schoeman leads from Hayden Wild. Henry Schoeman, 27 years of age. Hayden Wild gives away so many years in terms of experience. He's just 21. Schomburg, Brownlee, Sharp, Mislachuk, Canute, who had a tough transition. And he's going to have to work his way back. But the run on Henry Schoeman, we've seen him in 2018 lead all 3 legs and win. He did it in Abu Dhabi, just the 2nd ever in WTS racing to lead wire to wire. Of course, a win on the Gold Coast to start off his 2018 in the Commonwealth Games.
We'll see how good Johnny's feeling right now. He's got a little gap. If he closes it in this first loop, I think he's going to back himself. He looks more comfortable than he has in some of the previous league races. He's run straight on the back of them. I think he would back himself. I do think he'd back himself with a long run out against Henry Schoeman. It'll be very, very interesting. We've yet to see it. It's usually been a Vincent Lewis, Henry Schoeman show, with Jonny being out the back or missing a group. Now it's going to come down to this.
There's the World Triathlon champ, Andreas Schilling, from 2018. Had some great results in 2018, 5th in Montreal in the WTS. Led a breakaway there, and he's been there or thereabouts. Qualified through Poznan to get here.
Tyler Mislachok, 4 of them. It's Matt Sharp sitting in 5th. The gap's starting to open to him. Schomburg's out.
You could probably pick your winner from these 4. I don't hate...
Hayden Wild looks good.
Wild looks good.
I can't pick him. You might.
No, I've got no idea.
We've still got a lap to go.
Absolutely no idea who's going to win this one. I liked Hayden Wild. He's had more race experience from 2019. Some of these guys coming in on fresh legs. We know Richard Murray, for example, hasn't had a race yet. Hayden's had a couple back in New Zealand, and they've been very, very good. Will that hold him in good stead as he tries to hold off Olympic and Commonwealth Games medalists right behind him? He's in exalted company, Hayden Wild.
And let's face it, in a bunch sprint, in a sprint finish in Super League racing, he's yet to be beaten. He might have been sprinting for the win, but he's out-kicked Jonny Brownlee. He's out-kicked Mario Mola. He's out-kicked Tyler Mislachok. So he's yet to do it for a run at the win because it's usually been shut down by Vincent Lewis. But right now, this could be the biggest win of his career if he could shut out the current Commonwealth Games gold medalist, and both of them in Jonny Brownlee and Henry Schoeman in the blue jersey there with Olympic medals.
Well, Henry Schoeman's got enough composure to reach for the water bottle, but he looks comfortable.
Tyler Mislachok. We've yet to see Tyler this close to the front. He will get more and more confident. He looks very comfortable too.
He does. Johnny also looks comfortable. The only one who's showing the stress of it, I suppose, at the front there is Hayden Wild. So, Schoeman, Wild, Brownlee and Mislachuk. Also, Sharp's tacked on there as well. He hasn't been broken yet, so another big boost for Matt Sharp, whose partner, Kirsten Casper, is watching on at home. And no doubt enjoying this showdown. She's second overall in the women's standings. Unfortunately not here, but she'll be loving the work done by the Canadian Matt Sharp.
Jonny Brownlee's having a long run at it from home, a long, long way out, and Henry Schoeman has slid back to fourth and does not look comfortable. And this all plays well for Vincent Lewis. Vincent Lewis, if he can keep Henry Schoeman in fourth here, and Johnny looks fantastic, and Jonny Brownlee can win this championship, and he's running like he knows that.
Well, certainly take third from Richard Murray if he wins this one going into tomorrow, but right now Mislachuk's the only one staying. This reminds me very much of Jersey. The similar thing happened, and it was Vince Lewis who kicked and dropped Henry Schoeman, who attacked early, but this time it's Brownlee attacking early. Mislachuk goes with him. A little gap back now to Schoeman. It looks like Sharp will run to a very creditable fifth, but it's really on at the front now between Jonny Brownlee and Tyler Mislachuk.
Wow, Tyler Mislachuk. And he is sticking to Jonny Brownlee. And the famous kick of the Olympic champion from Sydney, Simon Whitfield, who invented the kick out of Canada, used to run exactly like this, off the shoulder of the leader and just decimate with a kick, and it looks very, very familiar. Tyler Mislachuk, to me, has a very similar running style to Simon Whitfield.
This will no doubt be the biggest moment of Tyler Mislachuk's career if he manages to outsprint Jonny Brownlee, who looks in excellent form. He's had worries training in Yorkshire about the heat, but it certainly seems to not have worried him. Schoeman has managed to move himself into third position, which is going to be very important in terms of the points race. We can talk about that in the wash-up as he overtakes Hayden Wild, who's trying to stick with him. And Hayden Wild's a very slight guy. It just shows you exactly how finely cut Henry Schoeman is. But right now it's Brownlee who finds another gear again, and it looks like Mislachuk's not going to be able to quite go with him, and instead it is going to be Jonathan Brownlee. He's not racing Abu Dhabi in a couple of weeks. He's been focused on this one. He had the toughest career year so far. He's a championship contender, and he's going to announce himself championship-wise. It's a big, big win for Jonathan Brownlee, who can sense potentially a championship win. So animated. Jonny Brownlee wins from Tyler Mislachuk, who gave everything.
Hayden Wild has beaten Henry Schoeman.
He has, so that throws things further into disarray. Schoeman can't do the job. He had one hand on the championship. Matt Sharp very happy with fifth, and Ben Canute holds off Jonas Schomburg for sixth. But the ramifications of that race.
Jonny Brownlee is back.
Back in a big way. Back. 2018 was a horror for Jonny Brownlee. But he starts 2019 with a bang. Let's hear from him right now.
Jonny, you have just made a lot of British fans back home very happy. How does that feel?
Oh, it's about time. It's been a long time since I've won a race, so it's about time. It feels good. It was hard work. I made it hard for myself early in the rounds by making stupid mistakes, but yeah, and at the end everyone got tired quicker than I did, so I don't think anyone was fresh at the end, but yeah, so happy to win again. It's been a long time.
We're really happy too. Listen, after the first race you said, I'm tired, I'm just warming into it. You certainly did. You may feel tired, but you look great now.
I've finally been able to do some training. I finally got like 6 or 7 weeks in, and it makes a difference, and no, I enjoyed that. It was hard racing. And when I kicked, I thought, oh wow, it's just one guy left, and I kicked again, and I thought, oh, I'm on my own, this is good. I've not had this for a long time. But no, I really enjoyed that. It was hot, it was hard, and I can race in the heat.
You've done yourself a whole lot of good in terms of moving up the rankings. What are your thoughts ahead, quickly, of the race tomorrow?
Oh yeah, tomorrow. I don't really care at the moment. I'm happy to win that race, and Show's got the form, so I'll come back. Honestly, I think Vincent is going to be the guy to beat tomorrow. He's going to be angry, he's going to be fresh, but I'm pleased to finally win something.
Okay, great stuff. We're very happy for you, Jonny. Well done.
Thank you.
Jonny Brownlee with a famous victory, and look how much it means to him. It's been a long, long time since he's had a win by his own admission. He's had injury problems. He's had stomach problems kept him out of races, and now he gets a win to open 2019. 2018 is in the rearview mirror for Jonny Brownlee. Congratulations to him. Richard Murray did admirably well considering just how tough it has been for him with his ankle, etc. Jonathan Brownlee wins 15 seconds quicker than stage 2 it was. Tyler Mislachuk with a great effort to finish 3 seconds back. Hayden Wild 8 seconds back. Skuman, who every chance he's going to win the title tomorrow. He finishes 4th. Matt Sharp, Ben Canute, Jonas Schomburg, Andreas Schilling, and Richard Murray rounds out our top 9. And that was a fantastic race in the Eliminator. Let's have a look back at stage 3. Richard Murray went into the water early. He got a 5-second penalty for that. He also didn't get the chance to dive in. Leo Berger finishes 10th. He got in the water, but his feet were all cut up, so he didn't race. Plenty of slipping as they came up into transition. Henry Skuman looked very comfortable early on, but he was made to do a lot of work out there on his own, as it is a little bit blustery here as well, and it showed in the end. He got caught up with a lap or so to go, and Jonny Brownlee hit the front of the bike. Ben Canute made his move to the front. He'd have a tough transition and he'd never really make it back from there. The run pace was strong. And in the end, Jonny Brownlee found a kick halfway through to drop everyone but Tyler Mislachuk, and a kick down the back straight to do the same on Tyler, which was a great effort in the end from the Canadian, but no one could beat Jonny Brownlee. We'll go back down to Annie.
Well, Richard, we've seen it all today, but that was a first, a full start in the swim. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I thought let's do a 2-feet dive here, like I usually do, but the starting part was wet, and as I leaned forwards, they were holding us so long, and my feet slipped before I could actually push. And as I slipped, the gun went off. I thought, oh no, that's a false start, and I'm behind as well. So it was already tough. The last one was a real mess up, but yeah, I thought on the bike I should just keep pushing. Maybe we catch, but we didn't catch on the run. I just couldn't push because of my calf a little bit. So yeah, it was a pity.
How did you keep the focus on the swim? Because, you know, you're an experienced athlete. You must have known it was highly likely you were going to pick up a penalty.
Yeah, I actually didn't think I had a penalty because I think I slipped and fell in as the Hutu went off. So I think I moved off the pontoon like a second early. But yeah, it's sports. These things happen. And all you can do is obviously pick yourself up. And I wasn't last out the water, so that was good. With almost last, but yeah, it was alright. So I'm okay with it.
You've kind of not done yourself a lot of favours there in terms of the overall series in that last race. You're going to have to work very hard tomorrow to pull yourself back.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of pleased with how it went today. I mean, I've been running for about 8 days this year, so I can only expect so much from myself. And I thought if I made it into the final round, I'd be happy with it. And then when we got in, I thought, oh, maybe I can come top 5 or top 3 here, and kind of screwed it up at the start. But that's sport, and sometimes these things happen.
It is indeed sport. Well done anyway. We look forward to watching you racing tomorrow, Richard.
Thanks. Cheers to the guys who did so well today. It was tough out there. Whew.
Let's have another look at the false start, the 2-footed dive, and as you said, they were held and he slipped off the edge. It was wet after so many podium pontoon starts, and that's all it takes. He says that's sport, but it happened to 3 of our top 6. So coming into this one, Vincent Lewis was on 75 points from Skuman 54, Murray 40 and Brownlee 38. You can see in the yellow there on the right exactly how many points this weekend is worth. Now Skuman, if he can win the weekend and hope Lewis finishes 3rd or below, he's the champ. Brownlee and Murray can also be champion. Now Murray, well, it's been hurt for him after what we just heard about, but Jonny Brownlee has given himself a bigger chance. So they call it sport, Macca, but it happened to 3 of our top 6. Leo Berger cut his feet, couldn't start in stage 3. Richard Murray false started, and that ruled his chances, and we know what happened to Vincent Lewis. It might be sport, but it is definitely Super League Triathlon.
You wouldn't have scripted it. Had, before the start, we finished watching the women's race. Had I said that any of that, one of those 3 things had happened, we would have said it's not possible. But it's thrown things wide open for the Enduro tomorrow. That format is brutal. It's very, very difficult. I'm thinking Vincent Lewis will finish 17th today, where he was eliminated, which means there's only a 13-point difference between today's points. Anything can happen tomorrow, but this man on screen right there, Jonathan Brownlee, it's magnificent to see him back in form. He's got the Tokyo, we're about, 15 months out before the Tokyo Olympics, and to find form when it matters and to see him win, you saw how much it meant to him, it was magnificent.
Yeah, more people have asked me where is Jonny Brownlee in terms of fans than anything else across the course of this week. He's loved down here in Singapore and across the world. Of course, two-time world sprint tri champion, two-time Olympic medalist, Rio silver and a bronze in London, 2012 world champion, a couple of WTS podiums in 2017. His best was 4th in 2018 in Hamburg, 5th in Edmonton. A lot of injuries and stomach problems, as I mentioned. Com Games, he finished 7th. He didn't look comfortable there. He just had a really tough year in 2018. But that is all behind him now with a big win, and this is how it shook out.
I thought Tyler Mislachok was still half a chance here. He looked to be tracking Jonny well. Jonny was very well committed, and the gap sort of opened up just as they came off this corner. I saw Hayden Wild right there napping. You watch Schumann sort of look back and smile there. I thought, oh,
yeah,
and then Brownlee went.
Yeah, he really did. I don't know whether Henry knew that he didn't have it in him on the second one, but that is a kick for the ages. That's a Vincent Lewis kick, that one. He knew he wanted it, and he knew he only had one man left to beat. He saw him there. He kicked halfway through the last lap, and he had another one in him, and Tyler couldn't.
It was a year's frustration, a year's worth of frustration. You see it, his face lit up. I got goosebumps as I saw it. You saw what it meant to him. There was no way Tyler Mislachok was getting past him.
You don't often see that kind of animation from Jonny Brownlee, and it is so good to see it. He's so loved in the triathlon world, and how good is a finish for that?
We've got to give credit to Tyler Mislachok. Had it not been Jonny Brownlee right now and Vincent Lewis had won this event and we saw Tyler Mislachok finish 2nd, he'd be the talk of today's racing. It was an amazing event. He stayed right there, and when it mattered in stage 3, he's 2 seconds from the win.
Oh, I'm just watching Jonny Brownlee. Sorry, I can't help myself. It's so good to watch it. But
it is good.
Tyler Mislachok, he's been so good. As Super League's gone on, he's gotten better.
Without question. Without question. He's really matured in the racing. His transitions are tidy. His coach, Jonathan Hall, has brought all his team here, and they're very, very focused on refining their skill for Super League racing.
So 3 of our top 6 have had tough days. 3 have had great days. We'll set it all up for tomorrow. We're going to head down to the podium in just a second. In fact, we're going to do it right now as we head to our podium, and Hayden Wild in 3rd.
Taking the silver medal from Canada, Tyler Mislachok. Gold medalist, United Kingdom, Jonathan Brownlee. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now call Von Chandron to come forward with the champagne to present, as he does very well. He's had practice at this one. The Maltese Falcon, and of course Chandron's from Malta. Mislachok, he launched today. But I tell you what we say here, here's Jonny, Singapore.
You don't often see man hugs on a podium, but there you go.
Malta.
Yep. And Hayden Wild pops it first. A little bit more trouble for the other 2. But a great job from Jonny Brownlee. He gets champagne in the eye. It doesn't matter. Tyler Mislachok takes 2nd and Hayden Wild 3rd. And that was a very Super League Triathlon podium, that one. There was a few things you don't usually see.
There's some happy boys, very, very happy boys. And as we said, as they cross, this is the first time, coming into the grand final, we've had a magnificent season, but it's the first time Henry Schumann and Vincent Lewis have both not been on a podium at any stage.
So both of them have taken a spot on the podium at each and every race.
Yes, exactly.
And that just shows you how quickly things can turn. Any slight error, any slight piece of misfortune, and you can just see how much it means to Jonny Brownlee to start off his 2019 with a win.
This is Super League.
The best part about Super League Triathlon is it doesn't end there. Tomorrow we up the pace even more and we bring you the Enduro. It is a brutal format. 9 legs, 8 transitions, 1 long race, and everything on the line. The last race of the season. Check your local guides, as always, for the times wherever you are around the world as Super League beams out to over 1 billion homes. Really taking triathlon to the next level, and they're all watching Jonny Brownlee enjoy this one. Macca.
There's a massive English expat community here in Singapore, and when we came here, everybody talked about the Brownlees.
All right, there we go, Macca. Thanks very much. We hope you enjoyed the men's Eliminator. We'll be back tomorrow with the Enduro for the men and women and to crown our Super League champions, but it's bye for now.
Johnny, you have...